I always wonder how much deliberate planning there is within an organization like Akrana, or if there's kind of a distributed intelligence that happens.
Well, one of the key elements in any kind of intelligence organization or operation is compartmentalization. Need to know. So rarely do you have an occasion where everybody in an executive position are all brought into a big corporate meeting and we discuss all of the secret operations that are going on. No, you never do that. Only a very limited number of people should know about that. If you have a person who is a case officer is controlling agents, he's the only one who should know who these people are, possibly his immediate superiors. But in no way do you want that to be common knowledge. So information within the organization itself is compartmentalized. So you don't need everybody to be in on it. You don't even need necessarily the people who are nominally at the top. For instance, the Okrana, the real boss of the Okrana was the Imperial Ministry of the Interior. The Minister of the Interior, in fact. But the Minister of the Interior had no real effective control over this at all. I mean, to the point was that at one point early on, they actually organized the assassination of their own boss. They have their agents among the revolutionaries kill the Minister of the Interior, because he'll just be replaced by another one. He's an imperial bureaucrat. He's not really part of their organization. It's like a director of an intelligence agency appointed by the president. Maybe he's part of the organization. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he is not one of us. So you've got different levels, different compartments within it. And who's actually running the show, if anyone is, I don't know. That's never supposed to be apparent.
Well, that's a fascinating question. I mean, you could see this with NKVD. It's obviously an extremely powerful organization that starts to eat itself, where everybody's pointing fingers internally also as a way to gain more power. So the question is, in organizations like that are so compartmentalized, where's the power? Where's the center of power? Because you would think, given that much power, some individual or a group of individuals will start accumulating that power. But it seems like that's not always a trivial thing, because if you get too powerful, the snake eats that person.
Well, if we go back again to the founder of the Soviet secret police, Felix Dzerzhinsky. Dzerzhinsky dies in 1926. Keels over after giving a heated speech to a party meeting. Now, the common view, what you usually read, which was key for the time, is that, clearly Stalin had him whacked, because anytime someone died, it was almost always it. And I think a lot of times he did. But in some cases, Stalin's probably getting blamed for things that he didn't actually do. Dzerzhinsky wasn't even opposed to Stalin, so it's not clear why he would. But this was Stalin died. Obviously he was poisoned. Something happened. It was an unnatural death. Somebody goes in for an operation. Gets a little too much anesthesia. Stalin killed them. Somebody tips over in a canoe in upstate New York. Stalin killed them. There's actually a case about that. So that itself can be kind of useful, where every time someone dies, they think you killed them. That's kind of an interesting method of intimidation in that regard. But the suspicion is nonetheless there. Dzerzhinsky he was the Grand Inquisitor. He was seemingly firmly in control of the organization. Of course, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. My guess would be is that if Dzerzhinsky's death was not natural causes, that he was probably eliminated by someone within his own organization. And then you look at the people who take over. His immediate successor is Vyacheslav Menzinsky, who's really not really a secret policeman, more a kind of intellectual dilettante. But if you look behind him, you'll notice the fellow is Henryk Yagoda. And Yagoda will really sort of manage things from behind the scenes until Menzinsky dies in 1934. And then you go to, well, hold on, until he's a victim of the purges, I think, in 37 or 38. Yagoda is ambitious, murderous, and if I was going to point the finger to anybody who possibly had Dzerzhinsky whacked, it would be him, and for the purposes simply of advancement. That's the person to look out at any kind of corporate organization is your immediate subordinate, the person who could move into your job, because more than likely that's exactly what they're planning to do.
Yeah, just one step away from the very top.
Yeah.
Somebody there will probably accumulate the most power.